you thought about a moment when all the things that you took time to build just in one split second, they are no more? That must be a terrible time. Welcome to the show, Painful Goodbyes. And today we are talking about the loss of property. I have Mr. Fine Bhebhe to help us in this show. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. People may want to know who we are talking to and maybe how you'd want them to know you. Please help me in that regard.
Okay. My name is Fine Bhebhe, as you have said. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm an elder. I like music. I like singing. I grew up in the church. Master Guide. I did my Master Guide long way back when I was still a teenager. And that's who I am.
Okay. Beautiful. What are your interests, things that you like?
I like, number one, as I said, I like music quite a lot. It's my passion, actually. I like composing, I like singing. Yeah. I like, even to make other people feel better. Okay. I like that, to see that I've made a difference in somebody's life. Whether through music, whether through talking, or even through helping them in a way or the other. Okay. That's my passion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, as you were growing up, you should have had some dreams. I don't know, what dreams did you have?
Yeah.
Maybe tell us those dreams.
Yeah, I was dreaming of having a good job, okay, having a fast car, okay, having a nice house, okay, having beautiful children. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, those were my dreams.
Those were your dreams?
Yeah, having a fit salary.
Oh. Now thinking about that, and you're just looking back, to what extent were those dreams fulfilled?
Some of the dreams you discover that they are dreams that you have when you said growing up. Mm-hmm. But when you mature, mm-hmm, you sort of shift a little bit. Maybe okay, you have different dreams. Mm-hmm. So you end up fulfilling what you now think mm-hmm, it's your new dream. But one of the dreams, of course, that I always had, I grew up in the ghetto. Okay. So I always dreamt of having a nice, spacious house. Okay. And I still dreamt of it even when I was capable of maybe doing it. Mm-hmm. Mm.
So I think you must have managed to do that, right?
At least I built something. You built something. Reasonable and habitable, and it's not something. It's not a mansion, mm-hmm, but it's better than the ghetto.
Yes, yes. At least you moved from the ghetto. Yeah, that's. Yeah. So, what did it take for you to acquire that kind of property and the things that were in?
When you were asking me what I like, mm-hmm, I forgot one thing, yes, which is now coming because of this question.
All right.
I'm actually a landscaper. I like landscaping. Okay. And when I was building my house, that's when I discovered that actually I've got a God-given talent of landscaping. Oh. Because I build something that everyone, when they come and visit, mm-hmm, they say, this is a lodge. Some say this is a lodge. Okay. Some say there is a white man staying here. Okay. And then they'll be surprised to see a black man, and it's not a lodge, it's a private property. Mm-hmm. So all that is because of my talent to landscape and to beautify things. Mm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you must have. You got this talent maybe by mistake, so you realize that no, I have this gift.
Yes,
and you utilized it, and that's a very beautiful thing.
True. Actually, when you realize that I don't have all the money. I want to build a house, but I don't have all the money. Okay. Then you start to think, how can I improvise? How can I come up with something different, but very nice? So when I was doing that, that's when that talent of mine was unearthed. Then I did it to where I built the house.
They say problems are mothers of inventions, and that has been a reality in building your property when you're doing the landscaping and all those things. And that's a very beautiful story. Please don't go away. We'll take a short break.
It's painful to say goodbye. It's hard to say I miss you. The time of thought is through some grooves. I need you now, dear Lord.
Welcome back to the second segment of the show, Painful Goodbyes. And earlier on, before the break, we were talking about the property and how you built it using this accidentally discovered talent of landscaping. And you put property in there, but then something sad happened. Tell us about that day and what really transpired on that day.
All right. I have a daughter. At that time, she was doing grade 7. She was supposed now to go to Form 1. Okay. Now they had a trip to the Victoria Falls as a grade 7 class. Now, I had built a cottage. So as a family, we were staying in a cottage. And that cottage was thatched. Now we are building the main house whilst we were staying in the cottage. Now everything that we had was in the cottage. The cottage was our home. The little children that are my children, that's the home they knew.
Okay.
Now, as I said, it was thatched. So when we were preparing food that she would eat along the way, when her mother was cooking, she mixed the oil and water somehow, and then there was a large flame which shot up, and it was violent. I saw it happening. It shot up and went and touched the roof, and all of a sudden, in a split of a second, the roof was on fire. And then I quickly, using my instinct, I dashed to fetch a bucket of water, came and tried to. When I did that, one thing that I realized was, no, the fire was no longer in one spot. It was almost everywhere. And it happened so fast. And I tried, I kept on trying. And then at that time, then I shouted, everyone out. They ran out. Everyone ran out. I remained alone trying to put out the fire. But I realized again, it was early in the morning. I realized that I was fighting a losing battle and I might also get injured. So at that point in time, I threw down the bucket. I caught the back of the little girl who was supposed to go on trip, threw it outside, and then anything that I could grab, I just threw outside. But most of the things, and then I saw that the fire was getting even worse. I stepped out. I was on my short and nothing else. I stepped out and I helplessly watched as the fire got worse and the roof caving in. And this is what happened. And my car was next to, the keys were inside. So I had to break the window of the car so that I could release the handbrake and then try to push the car. But as we tried to push the car, I realized you could not touch the car. It was very hot. So I think it was about to explode. And so I had to use something else to push it. And then we pushed the car away from the house. This is how it happened.
That's how it happened. And I'm thinking about you standing by, watching the whole thing coming down.
Painful.
It must have been a very painful thing. What thoughts were going on in your mind?
I was seeing everything, all my dreams, all my acquisitions, all my everything going literally in smoke. And I could see them perishing. And At that point in time, I sobered up. I asked myself, okay, my children, my family, they're all out. No one is injured. I am also not injured. No one is injured. Thank God for that. That came into my mind. That I vividly remember, thinking that it could have been worse, but we are all safe.
It's actually intriguing for somebody to think it could have been worse when it's actually a very painful situation. There must have been something that really happened in that short instance that really shifted the thoughts to that place. What could that be?
You know, when the flames were getting higher and higher, and the smoke getting higher, there were some neighbors who came, 2 neighbors, actually, they came, and they saw what is happening, and they had to hold me to say, leave everything. Just don't get in. Just leave everything. Accept it. They held me. They thought maybe I would lose it and jump in. But no, I was actually, my mind was stable. I was not going to do that. But yes, when they were doing that, I then remembered that, okay, me, I am an ambassador of God in this place that I am. Okay. And these neighbors, they know that I fear God. So, and I always tell them, this is not our world. This is not our home. When they see me losing it because of this property, then they might question themselves. So the way we value these things is also the way you value them. So what is different from, it was, I had to tell myself, remember who you are, and remember the God you represent here. Yeah.
You spoke about the little child who was supposed to go for a trip. I am thinking about her going to the trip whilst at home there was this. I don't know if you had time to really talk to her, how she felt as she was going to Victoria Falls.
When she came back, she actually said on the way, the bus that they were in, it was playing some songs. Okay. Then one of the songs, it was talking about fire. The song was going, fire, here is fire. And to her, she thought of, no, this song is talking about fire. At home, there is fire, which has destroyed our home. And I don't know how they are. Well, I'm going to the trip, but I don't know what is happening. I don't know when I come back from the trip, whether I will have a home or what. I don't know. But she went, and she enjoyed herself.
So sometimes when these things happen, people can attribute that whilst there was an accident, but they can attribute that to either a frown from God, witchcraft, and whatever. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Witchcraft never crossed my mind. God frowning never crossed my mind. But what crossed my mind was maybe God is teaching me a lesson. Maybe I'm clinging on to these perishable things too much. Maybe God is saying, let go, know who is in control. That crossed my mind. Not that he was frowning. But maybe teaching me a lesson. But I knew that in anything, whether God is teaching me a lesson or not, he allowed it to happen. So if he allowed it to happen, and there's nothing wrong that I've done, surely he's going to compensate me somehow. This is what I told myself. This is not, I know witchcraft never crossed my mind.
Okay. Sometimes when these things happen, there are those who have positive comments and those who have negative comments. I don't know in your experience, maybe they start with the positive comments that people brought, and also the negative ones. Maybe highlight certain negative comments that may have been painful to you. Maybe starting with the positive and then we end with the negative.
The positives, the encouragement. That statement also, I heard it coming from other people that, no, look, it could have been worse. We thank God all of you are alive. No one is hurt. No one is even a small wound, a small, no one. We are all okay. So let's thank God for that. So those are the positive comments. These things you work and acquire them again some other time. Don't worry about them. Those are the positives that, yeah. Well, the negatives, were there any? I don't remember. Maybe they were there, but they came from one ear and they went out.
Okay. So it means no one said anything that was negative in your case, and so that could have been actually helpful. Or if they said it, it didn't really register in your mind.
Yeah. I didn't pay attention to any because look, what is happening is already. I have to handle this. Now to try and listen to negatives again, you break down.
Okay. Thank you very much for actually sharing how it all happened. But maybe before we take a short break, tell me about maybe the relatives, how they viewed this kind of a thing.
The relatives, maybe on my side, they were quite moved. They were sorry, and they wanted to help in the best way they can. And I remember quotes coming in from outside the country, from my siblings, and from my in-laws. They were also helpful. They were also sorry, and everyone wanted to jump in and assist somehow. And see how they can lighten the burden that we found ourselves carrying. But what I actually saw, not only the relatives, even the church members, especially the church members, I have to underscore that. They were quite handsome.
Yes, I'm thinking about the time this thing happened in 2011. 2011, right?
Yeah.
And now. What thing still remains that when you think about it's so painful?
The pains, realizing, it's like you see the tree that Nebuchadnezzar dreamt, which was chopped. It came into my mind. I saw myself, like. There is a big tree which provided me shelter and cover, which was just removed. I felt like naked. I felt exposed. I felt helpless. In as much as I knew that God was in control, but you can't help feel that way. That now I am exposed. I can't help myself. I need somebody to help me, but I can't help myself. You feel powerless. That boldness as a father to say, okay, I'm a father, it goes away, it just vanishes.
There you have it, friends, the story of the loss of a property and how it impacted the Bhebhe family. Thank you for sharing it from the book of experience. We'll take a short break, and after the break, we'll hear more on the story. Please stay tuned.
It's painful to say goodbye. It's hard to say I miss you. The time of thought is through some rows. I need you now, dear Lord.
Welcome back to the third and final segment of the show, Painful Goodbyes. Earlier on, we spoke about this the building going down, and now it's in the morning. Now we are supposed to go and sleep in the evening. What happened?
Yeah, when the news started trickling into people that we know, especially church members, they rushed to the scene, and then they saw the severity of the matter. They mobilized themselves, and because remember I said we're finishing building the main house. So they went and looked at the main house and said, okay, at least the roof was done, but the house is still not habitable. So they identified the main bedroom and said, okay, let's do something to this bedroom today before the sun goes down so that they can have a place to sleep. So they ran around, organized the glazing, doors, the floor. The floor was not good, but they did something, put some carpet, did this and this, and until by the time the sun was setting, it was a place where someone actually can put up and stay. Okay. And they bought even, I don't know whether they bought them or they brought from somewhere, some beds, 3 beds. One bed for me and my wife, and other for the boy, and other for the girl. And it was you could stay. It was habitable. So when time for sleeping came, we also had a place to sleep.
Okay, so I think the church has been part of your support system.
Yes, very much.
Who else became supportive? You spoke about your relatives. Are there people that you would want to mention that really you still remember vividly that these people did something, and we want to thank the church for what they did?
Yeah, it's mainly church members. Yeah, I would say because someone brought a gas stove, someone brought a gas cylinder, someone brought, as I said, some beds to sleep. Someone brought, everyone was bringing. They were actually working on top of each other, trying to maybe outdo each other in helping. But it was nice to see. That was that day. The following day, actually the church members, they came the whole week. They were coming. They started to have prayer meetings every evening. But during the day, so and so will come, then they go. So and so will come, and so and so, and they come, and they will all inspect and say, okay, what is needed here? You see someone going and bring that. And one pastor, Pastor Ngwaru, said, "Come to my home." Him and his shepherdess Ngwaru said, "Come," and we went there. Pastor Ngwaru said, "Okay." He opened his wardrobe and said, "Take whatever you want." I said, "You are not serious." He said, "I said that." So I took a suit. He said, "You can take one of these suits." I took a suit. And then he said, when you are relaxing, you also need something to wear. So he gave me a short and some T-shirts and nice shoes, very, very nice shoes. Those shoes, up to this day, I have them, and I still wear them at times to church.
Okay.
Wherever you are, Pastor Ngwaru, I still wear those shoes to church. Yeah, very nice. But Mrs. Ngwaru also gave us a nice watch, and took my wife and said, "Come to the kitchen, get any set that you want." She had to take some teapots and so forth that we used, and maybe not to say they are the only ones, but it's because I still remember what they did with it. But all the people that we worshipped with, they all came with a lot of things. Linda Spanda, Mrs. Spanda, and Innocent. They brought a lot of things that we used that even years after that, they were still useful to us.
Oh, that was beautiful that the church came and they really helped, and the relatives came, and that became a very good support system. I don't know what happened to then your view on God. You earlier on hinted something about the God factor. Maybe we can explore that a bit.
Yeah, one thing quite interesting that I should mention is that when we were going through the ashes of where it used to be our house, when I was, I was looking for my driver's license because it was metallic. I was hoping it's still there, but it was bent. But I unearthed one of the Bibles still intact as it was. Something which was metallic, I think it fell.
Okay.
And it covered that Bible, and it was untouched by the infirmo. It was still like that. The only thing that, is the Bible was smelling of fire. It was smelling of smoke. But otherwise, it was intact as it is, and we still read the Bible and still carried the Bible to church. And also there was this book called Daniel Rivers, The Future. No, it was a revelation of things to come. It was it was burned, but the cover and the outer of the pages, but all the letters were still there. So I did not want to go and buy another one. I said, for the sake of remembering this, I'm going to photocopy this one. So I photocopied it. So even up to this day, I've got a photocopied. That one, I had it when I gave it to a friend of mine who was not a Seventh-day Adventist. I preached to that guy, and he was converted to our church. And then when I was giving some books, I also gave him that book, and I explained what it meant to me, and he valued it, and then he read it. Yeah, so God is there. Even when you are in the valley, God is there. And I think he wanted to teach us a lesson that everything can go, but my word still stands.
Before the show, you spoke about the transitory nature of the property. How did you come to that place where you view it in that way?
Look, when everything is said and done, we know that we all are mortal beings who die, and things that we use are temporal. But God is eternal, and His love is eternal, and is also, So what made me see all that is, number one, as I said. When you see that you are unharmed, there is a protection that you can see, and needs to be recognized, and needs to be thanked, and given the rightful place and position. And then everything else that we clamor for, that we yearn for, that we want, everything is temporal. I could see that, I could feel it, that look, we want these things, we want to accumulate, but everything is temporal. It will go one day.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So what would be your final words to someone who may have gone through this and they are failing to cope with this?
I would say everything we work for. If you lose anything, be it a car, a house, whatever, you can work for it again.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of everything. God, as long as God has given you the strength, you will get more. If I think of the clothes that I have, the TV that I had, whatever property, I think I've got better things now. So God will give you, is only your life, value your life, and not only on this earth only, but even value it to the extent that you want to make sure that eternally you'll be there. Value your life that way. So how do you value it that way? By observing, so says the Lord. So that at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, your life is preserved in the Lord. You'll be there eternal. So don't live recklessly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing your story and the lessons, valuable lessons that we learned from this story. Thank you very much, Mr. Bhebhe. For me, Skumbuzo Dube and Fine Bhebhe and the crew behind the scenes, it's a wrap.